So guess what time it is? It's time to lower the Forester XT.
I've been drinking, I'm driving while texting and speeding. I swear that I ain't going home. You hold my phone and won't leave me alone. I'm playing C4, playing Coca Patron. I'm on Coca Patron, Coca Patron, Coca Patron, Coca Patron, Coca Patron, Coca Patron. I've been drinking, I'm driving while texting and speeding. I swear that I ain't going home. If you hold my phone and won't leave me alone, I'm playing C4, playing Coca Patron. I'm on that Coca Patron, Coca Patron, Coca Patron, Coca Patron, Coca Patron. I've been drinking, I'm driving while texting and speeding. I swear that I ain't going home.
Check it out. I bought these RSR springs. These are the RSR down springs, not the super downs. Got these from Scott at performancespec.com. And by the way, that's where I get most of my parts from my buddy Scott. He owns performancespec.com. And if you can't find anything on that site, which I'll link down below, make sure just to contact him anyways. He has discounts on pretty much any part that you can think of. All the major websites that you see, he can get those. You just got to ask him and say, oh, hey, this is my car, this is my part number, blah, blah, blah. He'll shoot you an invoice, and you're pretty much good to go. These are going to lower the car 1.5 to 1.7 inches. I lowered my WRX, my 2016 WRX, on Race Comp Engineering springs. They don't actually have that option for this car. They only have the MAN Engineering and RSR, and I think, what's the other one? It's a blue Godspeed springs. That's what those were. Although those are cheaper, I much would rather go with what's been proven as far as the RSR springs straight from Japan. And these are designed to be used directly with the OEM shocks. I didn't have any issues with my WRX, the RCE yellows on the stock shocks. And since this is a very subtle drop as well, it's not that big a deal. Anyways, we're going to get started. Let's rock and roll. So 17.5 here to here, and then 3.25. So the new springs are going to lower about 1.5 to 1.7 inches. So that'll look nice. So the rear end is sitting about 18 3/8 from the hub to the top, and about 4 1/8 gap. You want to take the storage compartment styrofoam containers out of here, and they're held on by these 4 clips, and I'll point those out to you right here. They look just like this, and they pop in and out right there, there, and same thing on the other side. Alright, so those are just simple body clips, body fasteners. So now we can pull this out right here. There we go. So you can see the clips. So now you have access to the top strut mounts. So this is a 14mm nut on each side, and then you want to take this off as well. So once you remove this, so 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, you should be able to drop this down along with removing the top 2 bolts holding the strut to the car. So I think those are 14mm, like I said. So a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the top bolts. Okay. Once you get that done, it's just a matter of dropping this down, pulling the assembly out, compressing the spring, and then you know, putting the new one in. Messed up? We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
We're still good. Okay. Easy. It's nice to do this so you don't lose your stuff. Sway bar bolt and nut.
Okay.
This is the, what's this one? The shock.
Yeah.
Shock bolt and nut. That's good.
Okay.
a little bit more. You can start seeing it now. Why can't you move it? Like that.
Oh, okay. There we go.
There we go. This is another bolt right here that's going to the knuckle, and this is like a support bracket. Basically, it has the bushings here and the bushings up here as well. You need to take this off and pull it down like this in order to let the bolt from the lower control arm to the knuckle release out. Otherwise, it's going to be hitting this bracket on this side towards the inside of the car. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's what I'm talking about right there, right where the light is shining. It's going to be hitting that bracket. Sorry, it's kind of tight in here, but it's going to be hitting that bracket right where... Pops, can you point your finger down there maybe?
The bolt?
Mm-hmm. Where it's going to be hitting?
This guy.
Right there. That's where it's going to be hitting, so you need to pull that down. Go ahead and pull it down, and then the bolt will release out. So the two top 14 millimeter nuts are loosened, removed. We're going to drop the control arm down slowly with the jack, and it should kind of just fall into place. Now I can bring this down just like that. It's kind of nice to have. I would not suggest doing this project, by the way, one person. I did it with my WRX, and it was a pain in the ass.
There, just show us the front. There you go. There you go.
Wow, pain in the ass. By the way, take note. Take note of how you obviously take parts out, and so that kind of helps you put it back in. This, as you can see, this was facing towards the rear. So that perch right here where the spring goes into the perch with this white dot is towards the rear. So let's go ahead and compress the spring. We'll remove the top hat by taking out that center strut bolt. So you need an open-ended wrench and along with a Allen wrench to remove this. Harbor Freight, boys. So I got these spring compressors off of Amazon for probably, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks, something like that. And they've been working really well. I've used them. This is going to be the second time now. Second vehicle. Alright. You want to go 180 degrees or the exact opposite side of other spring compressor. Is that good? All right. Locked in. I like this because it has the locking pins as well to hold on to it. Good way to piss the neighbors off. A little bit more. So once the strut is loose from the spring, you know you're good to go. So now you can work on getting the top hat off. So this is the open-ended wrench I was talking about, and the rear is going to be a 14 millimeter, and I don't know what size Allen this is. This is a 5. Yeah, this is a 5 millimeter Allen key. So open-ended wrench, 14 millimeter goes here. Number 5 millimeter Allen wrench, and we're going to loosen it from here. So this, since this is short, we're going to use some leverage here. 1, 2, 3, just like that. Perfect. Pop it off. So that's what it's going to look like. In the front, there's a spacer / washer that sits on top of the center strut bolt, but the rears don't have it. There we go. This particular kit, this RSR kit, didn't come with any new bump stops. My RCE yellow springs for the WRX came with new bump stops. I don't know if it was both for the rear and the front, but I know they came with it. So this is the RSR spring on the left, and this is the OEM spring on the right. So I'm going to take this plastic piece right here, going to transfer it onto that. Okay, so that's good. Alright, so let's go ahead and compress the spring so we can place the top hat on and tighten the center strut bolt. Tricky part, we're going to tighten this, right? But at the same time, when we tighten this, it's going to press down. Well, here's the issue. When you press it down, since this spring is compressed, your rubber grommet is going to be misplaced. It happened to us on the other side, so it's going to kind of be like a balance of tighten and loosen, you know, tighten here and slightly loosen both of these, while also making sure that this rubber grommet stays in place where it's supposed to be, right there. Okay, and then obviously the top hat front and rear bolts are going to have to line up with the bottom of the strut bushing. So just like that. And from there it will sit properly, right?
Ready?
Yep. You're holding the top pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, that's good. So let's go ahead and shove it up there. This is where it comes handy having two people, otherwise it's just a guessing game. Is that in? Right there? That's in. Quarter driver ratchet extension here to feed it through, and this is actually really helpful because you're going to be freaking screwed otherwise. So that's a bro tip, not a pro tip, but a bro tip right there. Alright, so then once that's in, I'm just going to follow it and chase it with the bolt. So it's like push, chase it, push and chase it. Just like that. Woo! And nut is going to be out. Bolt is going to be on the inside for this one, right? So here we go again. Magic tool. There we go. Beautiful. Went to O'Reilly. I was looking for the repair manual and all that stuff. Couldn't really find those. None of them had it in store, but they were able to print this off for the 2014 and I think 2014 to 2016 Foresters. So I got the front suspension torque specs and the rear suspension torque specs, but it doesn't really have like everything on here. Okay, so this, the lower strut shock mount is going to be 59. We'll just call it 60. The strut center shaft, that was going to be, that's 18 foot-pounds of torque, and then also the upper strut shock mounts, torque those down to 22 foot-pounds. The hub to the control arm bolt is going to be 48. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to put those torque specs down in the description. And also this one here, this frame, the support frame, that's going to be 70. We're going 70 with this. We just finished up the left rear. Now we're going to do the front left. You'll be removing these two bolts, 1 and 2, and you're going to press this clip in, pop this out. You're also going to be removing the brake line attachment point right there, and you have the three. So you have these three top hat nuts. I think these are 12 millimeter. If you notice the front, this one right here, we marked it black just so it makes it easier when we're putting it back into place and reinstalling it after we've placed the new springs on the assembly. You notice on the back of this camber bolt here, what you want to do normally, if you didn't have these markings here, you'd want to take like a white pen or some kind of Sharpie or something like that to where you can mark and make sure that you're in the same spot. So this is a little clip, you just push and pop it open. Boom, just like that. Oh, holy crap. Woo! So if you notice also, come around this way, the camber bolt is the one that has the washer on it. The bottom bolt does not, so it's just the camber bolt that has the washer. Alright, so when you're removing this assembly, just be careful that you're not ripping your freaking boot right there with the strut assembly. We had no issues with the other side, but obviously this is kind of funny and can go to different angles, so basically you want to take this and rotate it outward and pull this down and back here like that. So it's going to be out and down towards you. Go out this way, just like that. Next, what you want to do is take this dust cap off right here. It's going to give you access to the strut nut right there. It's going to be able to take the top hat off. But we got to press the springs first and we can move on. But it's basically going to be the same exact process that we did for the rear spring and strut assembly, and we're going to do it for the front. So, so for the front strut, the center nut on the top hat, it's a different size. You'll be using a 17 millimeter open-ended, also a number 6 hex wrench. Alright, so as you can see, the RSR springs are on the right, that's the front spring, and on the left is the OEM front spring. So quite the difference there. Or also, I should tell you that for the front strut assembly, underneath the top hat, you're going to have this spacer slash washer sitting right there. Okay, and then you put the top hat on top of that.
Can't, because that shit gonna hold it. That damn thing gonna fly out.
You want to make sure this is pointing out laterally, just like it was on the OEM spring. Otherwise, you're going to have fitment issues. And you want to make sure that the perch and the springs are lining up correctly, obviously. So we overlooked that, and that seems like an idiot mistake, but it's easy to just get tunnel vision and think about how much you just want to drive the car and get the shit done with. But now everything is sitting nicely. The spring, top of the spring is on the perch, both top and bottom. So just make sure that you're aligning it the way it came.
Nope, you're good. Not moving. Good.
114. Good. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that install video of the RSR downsprings on the SJ Forester series. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I do like the ride quality. It is very comfortable, to be honest with you, but it's also very sporty. So it doesn't overdo it with the harshness of the bumps and whatnot. The OEM dampeners soak up the bumps pretty well. It's just nice to have that slightly more aggressive spring rate. So it does ride nice. I've taken it to autocross a few as you guys have seen. So when I'm out driving spiritedly, it does feel really good, really responsive, very controlled actually, so it doesn't feel sloppy at all. Very confident in the ride, and I do like the way it sits. I wish it was a little lower, but right now it's actually a functional low, which is really nice, especially having kids. And you know, I got a toddler and a baby, so I kind of need it to be more functional than, you know, slammed or whatever. But who knows, maybe I might go coilovers. We'll see what happens. But these springs have been on for months now, a few thousand miles easily. It just took me some time to upload the video. But let's take a look at the ride height real quick. So the pre and post measurements of the center, the wheel arch down to the hub. Pre was the front, it was 17.5, and now it's sitting at 16, and the rear was sitting at 18 3/4. Now it's about 16 5/8. So 16 5/8, 16.5. So it's pretty good. That's a significant drop. I think overall it's a great bang for your buck. Drops the monster truck off-road height down to a more streetable, occasional autocross, canyon run appropriate height, which is nice. Let me know what you guys think about the ride height. Do you think it's too low? Do you think it's too high? I actually think it's just good for right now. I do have parts that I need to install before I decide on actually lowering it even more. So we'll see how that goes. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.